Hi, Vicky.
Hello.
Thank you ever so much for coming on and talking to us today. So, where do we start? Where do we start? Tell me about being a good girl at work.
Wow, that's a big question. Uh, Having lived this life for many a year, I can absolutely say being a good girl at work has got its pluses and its minuses, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'd perhaps start with the pluses because that's going to go really quickly. There's not a lot of them. Um, the pluses is almost self-preservation, I'd say. So being a good girl, rocking up at work, knowing you've got lots of other stuff going on in your life that actually are the stuff that you really care about.
Hmm.
Your children, your partner, your family, your all the stuff, all the hats that we wear outside of work. So when you step into work and you just want to get through the day, that's where good girl kicks in for me, for sure. It's about smiling and waving. It's about, you know, being all that people expect you to be, being the best version of you that you will have shown at work at any one time. Because let's be honest, sometimes when people say, "Are you okay?" Actually, the answer that they're looking for is yes, yes, I'm fine. Everything's wonderful.
Yes.
Thanks for coming. Um, so yeah, the good bit is almost that self-preservation and going, do you know what? I'm going to fake it today. I'm going to get through, and then I'll reach home and I can, yeah, demask and be real again.
Hmm.
But the bad part that leaves you with, I feel like it sucks the energy from me, because you're constantly giving this level of fake energy out into the world.
Hmm.
So actually, when I can be me again, it tends to come out in emotion. So if I faked all day, I'll come home and I might cry a lot. I might overreact to really small things. I might be completely exhausted. All I want to do is get my children to bed and go to bed myself. And if I could go to bed before them, I absolutely would. But we've all got life and responsibilities. Um, so yeah, not doing that though, and empowering yourself on those days where you're like, no, sod that, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be my true, authentic self. That word, that phrase is being bandied about a lot lately, isn't it? And
Hmm.
I don't want it to be a bad thing, but it's starting to bug me. So I felt as I said it, I had to say it out loud.
Yeah, yeah. Me
But
too. So
everybody's got,
you don't want to see my true authentic self in the workplace. I think there'll
no,
be images
no.
of Daenerys Targaryen and Dracarys come to mind because it's like because that one emotion that we are definitely not allowed to
Mm.
display in the workplace is anger.
Oh, babe. Yes, that resonates with me massively because I feel like the days that I have shown up in full pink hair, don't care, full on to authenticity, loud, proud, big, bold colours, honesty, speaking up, living the values of an organisation,
Mm,
really, you know, what I believe, embodying everything that we sell as, especially in the corporate world, big organizations say,
yeah.
we really want this speak up challenge culture. We want people to, feel that they can bring their whole selves to work and so on. All these words are great, but when you actually do that, it, I've had personal experience of where that just doesn't work. It doesn't fit. It's not actually what that is being looked for. It's like, yeah, that's okay, but can you just do it a bit quieter? Can you
It's like
just,
tone that whole
yeah,
thing down. Like,
totally. You're on 10 right now, babe. Can you just bring that down to one or two? That would be awesome. And you know what? I don't have that filter.
no.
I kind of am who I am or I'm not.
Mm,
And that's quite sad. And that's where again a lot of this emotion comes from because you feel like when you are reaching out and you are being yourself in those spaces where it's comfortable. So where, for example, I'm a coach, I work in HR. When I've been in those spaces where I feel like I'm imparting some gems and wisdom on others and
mm,
being me in those scenarios, honestly, the energy that comes from me, from their reaction of me being myself, is like the best level of energy I've ever experienced. So if I think top down, it's the no, be quiet, shh, no, dim your light, stop, stop, stop. But when you're imparting to those that maybe need that level of support or also want to be their authentic selves and are dimming their own light, and you're showing them the way and you're role modeling and you're stepping into your power, that energy that they've got, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, she doesn't care. I often got the question, you work in HR, you've got pink hair. Oh my God, does that work? And I'm like, yes, what are they going to do? Sack me because I've got pink hair? No,
Yes, I wrote the
no.
policy.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote this stuff. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, be you, because it really doesn't stop you doing your job. So yeah, on balance, I think there's a place for masking and there's a place for self-preservation. So I don't take away from that in any way. But my best days are when I can be myself, have my voice heard, I get the recognition from being who I am and how I show up. Because actually the reaction that I get from others is absolutely where my energy flies, for sure.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I did giggle at the whole smile and wave thing because that is literally masking, isn't it? Just smile and wave. Don't ask me how I am. Don't just stay away.
Totally. Is that word fine? I'm fine. What does that even mean? It should be an acronym for, it should start with an expletive for the F for sure. I'm like, I don't know where you're going on your podcast with your
No, we
expletive.
can swear. It's fine. I
Yes.
think all of them have been explicit so far. So
But yeah, fuck it comes into mind for
yes.
sure. With the word fine. No one's fine. Like, honestly, like, just say how you really are. But yeah, so if someone does, if you impart anybody some wisdom on anyone who's listening to this podcast, when someone says they're fine, ask again, ask in a different way, use different language. Fine is not a great place to be. Don't just accept that first fine.
Absolutely. So I think sort of almost the elephant in the room is that the ADHD thing, that
Yes,
neurodiversity thing. And so I think, and that you're not officially diagnosed, but
I am.
you are officially diagnosed.
Mm.
That happened recently, didn't it?
Christmas,
And
yes,
I
less than
knew
12
I
months.
was just being a dipstick, right? Yes. So you are officially diagnosed.
I am.
And now looking back, so gosh, my first year of being diagnosed, I was livid,
Mm.
not happy bunny rabbit. Looking back, can you see, I don't know, for me, it was a case of my good girl mask was masking my ADHD like massively. And all of my responses to sort of, fear and feeling weird was like uber people pleasing. Do you resonate with that at all?
I mean, you could be living my life, to be honest. I was the queen of saying sorry, is what I would say. So y- the first thing you said to me is you were livid, right? So I think I instantly went into, oh my God, it's not me, right? So that whole relief instantly was the thing that came. But then I went into grief.
Yeah.
Then it was like, oh my God, I could have lived a much richer, real life had I known. Because I think I would have allowed myself permission to be a bit more me in a lot of scenarios. So yeah, I for sure masked massively, and my people pleasing went into, I'm sorry, what else can I do for you? How can I make it better? How can I fix it? Could not go to sleep on an argument for sure. Um, but since knowing and since appreciating and researching more into how ADHD shows up and therefore attributing my traits to how I show up and giving myself the almost the or permission is one way, but almost like the acceptance of the fact that that's what's going on. I've kind of had a bit of a I'm fighting the urge to people please now. So I sit across from my husband, for example, and I used to say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You don't like that? Okay, that's fine. You think that opinion? Okay, that's fine. We'll go with that because that's the right thing. Honestly, I've genuinely sat there. The F's that have come out of my mouth since knowing, I'm like, no, F that. No, I'm sorry. No, sorry. That's a load of shit that's coming out of your mouth right there. No. And actually, he's really enjoyed it. So I feel like we've got a much closer relationship now because I can be really real about how I feel.
That's amazing.
Oh my God, but I was so nervous of that because again, the people
Yeah.
pleasing nature of me is going, oh my God,
He's
if I
going to hate
actually
me
say,
now.
yeah, my marriage is going to be over.
Mm,
But I've genuinely looked left and right at my friendship groups, at my family, at all manner of connections that I've had. And I've genuinely pressed pause or delete on a number of different relationships
mm.
because I've gone, no, I'm the quiet one of the group, and oh, that's not really who I am actually. So I'll remove myself from that.
You're the quiet one.
I know, babe. I know. I know. I know. I know.
We haven't known each other for that long, but I'm like, no, you're not
I know.
quiet. But
But
it's that masking, isn't it?
it is, and because I genuinely, I felt it's like, where do you find your slot in the, if you're all standing in a row of 10, where do I find my slot? Oh, okay, there is no room. I'll make myself 11 and I'll make myself really small and hope I can get into that 10 one day. No,
Yeah. Like
so,
you have to be the Spice Girls.
oh, babe. Well, I certainly am. I might have Vicky as a name, but I'm certainly not Posh Spice. Scary, maybe, but certainly not posh.
But it's like everybody, yeah. It's funny, isn't it? That ability, you've got this diagnosis, you're
Mm.
going through that grief process, that grieving process, and that acceptance seems to be coming a lot quicker for you. So well done you, than it did for me, because gosh, that took a while. And that you've got that helicopter view of your life now, and almost as a, it's like I don't know what the word is, but like an archaeologist, you're now looking at
Yeah.
all of the artifacts around you and all of the people around you and all of the history that you've grown up with, and you're consciously choosing yes or no.
But aren't those decisions hard?
Oh God, yes.
You know,
Yes.
I mean, I don't mind saying I've actively been in therapy for the last 12 months. And it was through therapy that made me seek formal diagnosis because I kind of thought, actually, let's just really see what is going on here. And obviously, the state of the NHS that it is, I went private because I
Mm,
couldn't wait 56 years to go and actually talk to somebody who cared.
mm,
So I went off to get my results myself. And even that's brave. Like, stepping out yourself. I took myself to London because there was nowhere where I lived close to that, and had my diagnosis up kind of away. And then
mm,
when bringing it back in made me go, oh, actually, I've now got to make all these decisions that actually because I was people pleasing, relying on others to make for me.
mhm.
Jesus, Michelle, I could not order a Chinese without having an absolute hissy fit. There's too much fucking choice. I was reading the menu like, oh my God, what do we do? And what if they don't like chow mein? What if they like boiled rice and I order egg fried rice? What if they don't like it and they leave it and it hasn't satisfied them, but it satisfied me and that's really selfish? Oh my God, I'm ordering the sweet and
Whatever
sour
you want.
balls
Yeah.
and I don't care, right?
Love it.
Yeah. But it is hard. I find myself naturally going to that place and then having to really coax myself through.
Because it's
To ma-
habitual, isn't it? It's like
it it is.
it's
It's
that
hard.
that's how you've always operated.
Mm.
So I am loving your new Instagram channel. Do you
Ah,
want to
thank you so
share? Do
much.
you want to share with our listeners what that is? If they like the cut of your jib, they can go and find you straight away.
Totally. So it's pretty new, guys. So bear with. But I started a company called Advance Populus. That's Populus, and it sounds pretty random, but I chose that because populus means people, right? And I'm a HR person by trade. I love people. I'm a coach. I just love all connections with people. So to advance people is really what the aim of the game was. So yeah, let's do what it says on the tin. So I've created an Instagram page called Advanced Populous, where at the moment I'm doing a daily reel. It may change over time, but just now I'm doing a daily reel with a little bit of a thought of the day. So I'm not preaching, I'm not professing to have all the answers. What I am doing is if I'm coming across something that's a challenge or something's come up for me that day that I feel that would be helpful, then I'm sharing that on a really short reel. So to give you an example, one that stood out for me was burnout. So I recently went to a burnout workshop, and I had a bit of a light bulb moment while I was listening to it, that was actually, with my ADHD brain, with my people pleasing nature, with the fact that I've worked in HR and had to deal with and work with and support people all the way through, I deal with burnout a lot, and having experienced burnout again in the last 12 months as a result of really exploring who I am and how I show up, and perhaps moving on from that. And in that journey, I absolutely experienced burnout. Not just a bad day, not just feeling exhausted. I mean, couldn't go to bed without worrying about the stuff, and then wake up worrying that I haven't had enough sleep about worrying about the stuff.
Mm.
But knowing that the biggest takeaway from that was about being your true authentic self, and actually almost like the antidote of burnout was being who you are. And that's then what made me go, oh, actually, light bulb moment, if I just be me more, and give myself even more permission to step into that, then maybe the world will be a better place. That was my takeaway. So I put it in a reel. It's out there, and yeah, it's got a lot of traction. A lot of people resonated with that. So yeah, if you're interested, go and have a little nosy, and you might find something that hopefully resonates with you too.
No, I love that. I love that. And you come across the I don't love the spoons theory in terms of ADHD. So every day you have a certain set of spoons. But that's ridiculous. I think every day you are born with a certain you wake up with a certain number of crystals.
Mm.
You know, like on a video game. A video
Yeah.
game. My word, I'm sounding like a grandma now. What on a
Sega
video
Mega
game?
Drive, Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah, Nintendo 64. And
Oh, you're very posh. We didn't have the money for that in Shard End.
I think it was my parents that wanted to play on it, not us. Yes, who has parents who are in their 70s? My mum's got a PlayStation and my dad's got an Xbox.
Love it.
They love it.
Love
They
it.
spend loads of time on it. They have lots of fun. Not
Social
together.
animals. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, hilarious. Hilarious. So where was I going with that? So that kind of, if you are masking all day, if you are
Mm.
trying to conform, if you're trying to be a good girl all day, you're wasting all your crystals on the energy that it takes to maintain that front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I find it really, really fascinating. And it's not just neurodivergent people, I think it's everybody.
Yeah.
We do not have unlimited resources of energy and effort, and we can only put so much into a day.
We do, but do you know what? Filling that cup is so important. So, like the
Mm.
antidote of that. That then, so if you do come home and you've do got, the routine of life. So whether it is cooking the dinner, whether it is the chores, whether it is the children, whatever it might be, I suppose it's making sure you find time. I know sometimes people. I mean, I'm in therapy. I've just explained, but go for the walk. When you're out in nature, the world will be such a better place. And you know what? I say it in that mocking way because that's always how I've sensed it. When people have said that to me, I'm like, yeah, do you know what, babe? A walk is not going to change my life.
Mm.
But oh my God, it does. I sound like a total fraud now because I'm like, what? I've gone out, I've enjoyed, I've kicked the leaves around. It's now autumn. Like, I've the wind in my face, walking in the rain, like doing something that I thought, "Ugh, that was a load of crap when people just share because it's saying sounds like a nice thing to do to get out into nature. But doing what you love can fill your cup again, so you're ready
Mm.
to fight another day.
Yeah, get
Um,
you some replenishment crystals, like an
oh
extra
yeah,
life.
oh my God, yeah. I mean, I sing, so I'm in a choir. I sing, whether I'm very good or not, I don't really care, but I enjoy it. I have a great time, and yeah, if I'm having a bit of a moment, I stick Alexa on and I go, Alexa, play Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. And I dance around the living room like an absolute tit. But it makes me feel good.
We
If
do
I've had a,
that here. Me
yeah,
and James, we literally like if we're feeling a bit like, it's like we need to dance off.
yeah, yeah, let's do the Running Man, let's bogle it out in front of everybody. It's all good.
Yeah, it's fact it's only us two that like work together in the house, so it's not so bad. But imagine doing that in a corporate, like, all right, everyone's got like a
Brilliant.
miserable face on. Let's get up and have a dance.
Oh God. But again, it might drop people's guards and make people feel like actually this is a place where I want to be rather than I've got to be because it pays the bills.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
let's
It's
create that
funny.
workplace.
Yes, I know. It's like it's dance like so in like Scandinavian companies, they have sort of like a coffee time. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
So everybody stops and has like a coffee together. So it's a really social activity. So,
amazing.
we could maybe blend the coffee
Yeah,
slash tea or, water or whatever you want to drink with a
yeah.
bit of a dance off.
Oh, totally. And then we'll do Spanish siesta thereafter because
Oh
we're
God,
exhausted because we've,
dance too much. Yeah.
done. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, right.
There we go.
Michelle for Prime Minister.
Yes. Designing the workplace of the future
Never
with
mind a 4-day week, Labour. Let's go for dancing and naps.
dancing and naps. Literally the answer to most questions. Nature, dancing and naps. Why didn't you write a book about that? And you become a
Ooh,
world best-selling author. And
I think
then
I'm writing it down.
you're writing it down. I need to stop giving you jobs to do. No, it is absolutely wonkers. So if you could go back to your just starting in corporate self. So how old were you when that happened?
19.
19. If you could go back to your 19-year-old self and give us some advice about how to survive as an undiagnosed person
Mm,
in the corporate sphere, what advice would you give to her?
wow. Makes me emotional even thinking about that, to be honest, because I remember that kind of, oh, I must do right, can do attitude, enthusiasm that was there at the time. Not that I'm not enthusiastic now, but you hear me.
Hmm?
Um, I think I'd put my peripheral arms around her and say, do you know what? For every bad day, there's going to be like a million great days.
Hmm.
And listen to your instincts because they're going to see you well. Because I often find that, that age-old coaching theory of all of the answers are within you. You just need
Mhm.
to tap into those rather than maybe listening to what others are telling you are the right thing. Your answers are there. You are whole. And if it's really not okay, do something about it. Don't stay.
Mhm.
Move on. I've been in companies for years and years and years and years, even when things weren't okay. Um, and actually putting yourself out there and going, do you know what? If this doesn't work for me, that's okay. It's just not meant for me, and move on. Don't stay. Don't be unhappy. Be you. Dye your hair pink sooner
Hmm.
and eat the cake.
Eat the cake. No, it is interesting, isn't it? So my current hypothesis I'm working on is for book number 2 is all around that what happens to those enthusiastic, hardworking, but yet perfectionistic, people pleasing, very good at adapting to authority.
Mm,
People are coming out of education and into the workplace, and why all of a sudden do we women and 19 girls and women, young
mm,
women, why do we blame ourselves when we don't feel right in these workplaces?
mm. It's hard, isn't it? Because I think we're coming from such a legacy and such a history of the go 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 mentality.
Mm,
So our parents, for example, would have been the ones that, votes already happened. So we've got the vote, we've got the say. We're working parents now. I don't know about you, but my mom had 3 jobs, running around like an absolute lunatic to do all the things, including all of the home life and so on. So when you've witnessed those things and you've seen it in action, you almost do what you've been taught in some ways.
mm,
And that's why it's almost sad, isn't it, that you could then get so later in life and think, well, it's only really now that I've started to question back all of those conformative, ways of growing up and childhood to go, actually, should that have been a shared load? As children, could we have done more? As partner, could partner have done more? Where's the balance? So
mm,
it's unpicking and deprogramming, to use your language, all of those really inherent negative behaviors that I think that we've kind of been entrenched and ingrained in.
mm.
But again, super hard, takes time and practice, and we don't
Yeah,
always get it right.
no, no, we don't. And that's how we learn by watching, and we get trained into this. And I look back at my mum, and she had 4 kids.
Mm.
There was 18 years between me and I'm the biggest, and then the littlest. And her parents were poorly. She had a full-time, very, very intense job. And I was like, why is she not being promoted in this job? Why is she not like, where's her ambition? Where's her like get up and go? Because she would run rings around her bosses. I knew because I ended up working in the same organization. So like, why are these dickheads in charge? Why is she not running the show? And it wasn't until and I kind of judged her for that as well.
Mm.
But it's like when I was writing the book, and in particular that chapter about strategic exhaustion, all the different ways women are tired. It's like
Mm.
she was at that point a single parent with a young child, older teenagers, working a full-time job with sick parents that she would, go and care for every day.
Mhm.
So she didn't have any crystals.
No,
I'm
no.
surprised like literally, how did she manage?
Mm.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't understand it. And so I was like, had
yeah.
to apologize to my mum for judging her. She was like, don't know what you're talking about, go away, you weirdo. But that's
Yeah.
fine.
You're absolutely right. And my mum's language is the same in a sense of, you do your best. She did the best with the cards that she'd been dealt at the time.
Mm,
And ultimately so are we, but I think it's almost a privilege, isn't it, to be in our generation, to have the ability in our lifetime. I mean, thank goodness it's come at the time that it has, rather than in like retirement. I kind
yeah.
of feel like now I've got some real opportunity doing the work I do to be able to influence the next generation. I
Hmm.
love working with early careers and people that are up and coming and emerging talent, and people that have got that drive, that are almost been born now in a generation of social media and the art of the possible, and unfortunately fame, which is another podcast altogether, but something where they have a bit more of a natural ambition.
Hmm.
Whereas I didn't feel I was born with ambition. I feel like it was something that made me go, I want more than that for
Hmm.
myself, but it's taken me a long time to kind of step into the owning of that. I've um I've taken from opportunities that I felt I deserved, but I almost like asked for in
Apologize.
a,
Like,
yeah,
is
in a
it
really
okay
apologetic way.
if I
Please,
possibly,
please, can I
yeah,
have a promotion? Because I'll do everything that you need and more, and work all the hours and kill myself in the process. And now I'm like,
and be grateful
boundaries.
for it.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. But yeah, it's a hard one, but navigating through that, I think, is the best thing that we've ever done. And I'm proud of being where I'm at in my journey now, knowing that the only way is up. I could
Fantastic.
sing "The Only Way Is Up." Show my age again. There we go.
I was singing that to James yesterday. It's like a singing at James, not with James. It's like there's a difference. I burst into song at least once an hour. So yes, imagine having to work near me. Jesus, so this is me keeping myself normal. Hilarious. Okay, so last question.
Mm.
And I know you might have already answered this one, so that's fine. What question do you have for our listeners and watchers? Audience, that's the word, Michelle. The audience. What can they go away with and think about after having a listen to this podcast?
So, I typical ADHD. I feel like there needs to be some context to the actual question, right?
Fine.
But for me, it's what's holding you back from being your true, authentic self. So I think that's a question that I tend to ask myself all the time. So I feel like I'm testing myself of, am I being authentic here? Is this really what I think? Am I still people pleasing? And so on. So I'd really encourage anyone to think, what is it? I'll repeat, what is it that is holding you back from being truly who you are? That'll be different for everyone, right?
Mm.
Could it be fear? Could it be learnt behavior and conformative nature? Is
What
it
will
that
people think?
yeah, yeah, other people's opinions are a huge one,
Mm.
because you may have always, been in that space. But what would the world be like? It's almost a secondary question. Sorry, taking
It's
two.
okay.
What would the world be like if you allowed yourself to be your true, authentic you? Because it's magical.
I literally went back to that kind of that magical, that Disney Disrupt HR talk that I can't wait for it to come out. It might be out by the time the podcast comes out, so
Yay!
I can share it in the show notes. If not, I'll go back and add it to the show notes. So at some point, keep an eye out. You did it's all about different Disney characters.
It most certainly was, and it's really short version starts with both of my children standing there in not Alice, in Snow White costumes, and they might look the same, but are they the same? Have they got the same values? Have they got the same beliefs? Do they show up in the same way? Absolutely not. My youngest 2-year-old batters my 9-year-old, quite frankly, because she's big, bold, and got big, courageous behaviours, and my 9-year-old's quite timid and quite shy and so on. But she's amazing nonetheless. So judging people by the way they look, the way what organisation they work for, what you might believe and assume about them
Mm.
is totally the wrong thing. So that's what the talk's all about, and that's really what my mantra and goal for just in career and life in general is helping people see that there is a way of being you in a way that's going to be comfortable and giving you a rich, fulfilling life. So let's step into that sooner rather than later. Let's not get to retirement and wish we shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Mm. Tapping here because
Yay!
yes, I am here for all of this, and I can't wait to keep watching your journey and dipping in and having chats. So thank you, Vicky, so much for coming on.
Oh, and thank you. I'm learning so much from your journey too, and having absorbed your book of deprogramming Good Girl Conditioning, it's made me really sit back and go, do you know what? Yes. I was like screaming at my audiobook, listening to it, going, yes, yes, yes. Go on Audible, guys, and grab it if you haven't already, because I so resonated, and it's made me feel more empowered in making those really difficult decisions of changing my ways and stopping those people pleasing and unpicking all of that behavior. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, you're most welcome.